Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing 20 Strong Nemesis from Chip Theory Games in partnership with Awakened Realms and their titles. This is part of a 3-series campaign: 20 Strong Nemesis, 20 Strong Tainted Grail, and 20 Strong Etherfields. 3 Awakened Realms titles as part of a 20 Strong system of games. There's a lot to go over here, so timestamps to everything down below in case you want to skip to sections. I also will have 3 20 Strong reviews for you today. I will have Etherfields, Tainted Grail, and Nemesis. I don't know the order these videos go up, but you can go ahead and check out my thoughts and opinions on all of the videos. Some sections will be repeated just because I need to give people information, so feel free to skip those sections. Again, that's what the timestamps are for. But first, this is a prototype. All rules and components subject to change, and I'll have a link to the crowdfunding campaign down below. Second, 20 Strong is a series from Chip Theory Games. They did the original 20 Strong series, which consisted of Solo Sentinels, plus some other games from their own IP catalog of games. Then they had 20 Strong, 20 Strong, Tanglewoods. 20 Strong Tanglewoods, an entirely different series, different vibes, more cartoony art. In general, just a series of 3 or 4 or 4.5 games, basically, all in the Tanglewood system, different versions. They've continued to release things like Cloudspire since then. I don't know if there's anything else. I think Cloudspire was since then. I feel there was something else that was released, but I'm not entirely sure what it was. I feel there's something else. Darn it. What was the other 20 Strong games? I don't know. Either way, back to this. We now have a series of 3 games in partnership with Awakened Realms, using 3 different Awakened Realms titles and putting the 20 Strong system on top of that. As far as what is the 20 Strong system, as a general highlight, and actually Nemesis, I think more so than any game I've played so far, breaks the general mold of how this game operates. But as a general structure, 20 Strong is a system that uses 20 Strong dice. You have your dice over here, you do have a few dice for stats over here that you're going to be using, and then you have 17 other dice, and effectively you're going through the game to try to ultimately defeat one final boss, but you have to work your way up to that boss, and that means you have to go through a bunch of enemies along the way, rolling your dice, exhausting your dice, and trying to balance how you spend your dice versus the upgrades and benefits you're receiving to kind of stay ahead of the curve of the game and be able to survive to the final boss and actually pass and defeat the final boss. That's the general arc. There's items, there's upgrades, there's stats. There's going to be your health, your recall, your strategy, all these different stats that track, well, your health is intuitive. Your strategy usually tracks how many items you can hold as well as how many rerolls you have effectively. It's a little more complicated than that. That's the short version. And then your recall is how many dice you pull back every single round, which helps keep your dice pool alive as you try to survive. That's the general 20 Strong system. Every game breaks that system in different ways. Nemesis breaks it the most out of any system I've seen from 20 Strong so far. The way Nemesis works is you have a ship over here. You are going to be setting up your cards randomly, and then you'll be flipping over this card that has the start on the back. That is the cryo chamber. That is where your dice start. Now, this is the first 20 Strong game that is not pure solo. Now granted, any 20 Strong game you can play with other people making decisions together, but effectively it's a solo game played with friends. I've done that before. It's not the worst. It's still a solo game. This can be played solo, but it also can be played as a 2 or 3 player game too, which already destroys how 20 Strong has ever operated. And the way they do that, well, there's several ways to do that, but one of the things they do is your stats in this game don't actually change like they normally do on 20 Strong. So for example, this bounty hunter who has a 3 strategy, that's always going to be a 3 strategy. It will not go higher. It will not go lower. It is a 3 strategy. Instead, you're going to use the dice to track your health. That's why you have these dice over here. You have up to 3 players using the dice to track the health and then using them to move around the board as you try to figure out what your objectives are in this game. Because again, if you're familiar with Nemesis, this is effectively a distilled version of Nemesis using the 20 Strong system. So it's definitely smaller. It's like, it's, you know, less than this size. It can fit into, I guess it's this size. So you need the dice. So it's like, this is your new version of Nemesis. But outside of that, so now it can be controlled up to, now it can be played up to 3 players. But in the game, you generally have 2 ways to play. The basic way, the intro recommended game, is just survive and get off the ship. There's going to be aliens popping around the corners. You are trying to go through these rooms. You're trying to find your escape pod. You have to power up the engine rooms and then safely get off the ship. That is the basic version of the game. Just try to survive. Whether you're playing a solo or with friends, just try to survive while you learn the ins and outs of the system. But also, if you've played this game several times, or if you're already familiar with Nemesis, you might want to start with objectives. Objectives are going to be dealt to the players, and you can either do it, again, solo, or you can do it multiple players, but you use the number of objectives of the player count. For example, this is a 1+ objective, and that's a 2+ objective. You don't have this if you're playing a solo game, and if you're playing 3, you include the 3+ objectives. You shuffle them up, you give players 2 objectives. They won't have to choose yet which objective to have, but they're going to have a choice between objectives. And objectives are going to give you a way to score points for doing different things. So just just to read through like a basic one over here, if you escape with full health or higher, you get 1 point. If at least one other hero escapes with you at full health or higher, you get 2 points. But we're going to skip over there. If no other hero escapes before you, 3 points. And if you're the only hero to escape, 3 points. Basically, you can try to bring somebody with you and get 2 points, or you can be the only person to escape at all and the first one and get 6 points for that alone, escape with full health, and that's 7 points. Why is 7 an important number? Because the game has different tiers as far as level 1, 2, 3, 4. How many points do you need to earn to win? Multiple players can win. Objectives do not always clash. Sometimes they do. They do not always clash. So the bounty hunter and the pilot can both earn 7 points. If you're playing on difficulty level 1, where you only have to earn 7 points from your objective cards, you can have multiple players achieving all of their objectives that might overlap in some ways and might not overlap in others. One player might want to get the engine room actives, the other player might want to get the escape pods active, and therefore they inherently overlap because you kind of need the engine rooms for the escape pods. It all kind of works out, even though you're doing different things in the game. So again, multiple players can achieve those points. You have these objective cards that give you things to work towards, and also they don't lock you in yet, because again, you have both of these and you get to choose later in the system which one you want to keep. That's how you win, the objectives. The objectives usually will come down to different things that involve, finding the nest, destroying the nest. And again, if you've played Nemesis, this will all be familiar. Getting on the escape pods, escaping, getting points for being the only player to escape, destroying all the other escape pods. There's all these different things you can do that will give you points, but most of the time you're going to have to, well, not most, all the time, you're going to have to explore the ship. That's the key thing you need to do. You need to find the rooms. Now there's a handy dandy little room reference over here showing you the backs of different rooms and which rooms go under which categories. So for example, the escape pods are always going to be in these little bullet, the armory style. Well, the armory is its own room. These bullet rooms will have escape pods in them. You'll have the engine rooms on the back of these gear wrenches. So you have to kind of figure out what it is you're trying to do. So if I'm going to try to, this other objective, the one I didn't show you, at the end of the game, the armory, canteen, and medbay are all active. That's 2 points. So that's giving me something to work towards. The armory, canteen, and medbay are all going to be things that are in these, I believe they're all in these if I recall correctly. Yeah, they're all in these types of rooms. So maybe for my first turn, let's go ahead and show you our first turn. We'll have the pilot go ahead and go, and the pilot's going to take a move action. That's where this card over here comes into play. Players have 4 actions they take each round. Again, this is very different than a typical 20-strong game. But the first thing you're going to do is you're going to recall dice at the beginning of your turn. Usually you do it at the end of your turn. Why the beginning of your turn? Because normally in 20-strong you're playing it solo. If you use dice, they're gone. That's okay. In this game, it's not as much fun if somebody else uses the last dice from a shared pool of dice, and then you have nothing at the start of your turn. So you start with a recall. The pilot would recall 3. Not going to happen right now because they're all already available. And then from there, she can spend dice to move around the board. You have 5 core actions over here: move, attack, salvage, trade, and the other is kind of whatever is on certain tiles, certain cards, rooms of the ship. So moving involves taking some dice over here and then rolling those dice and seeing what happens. Now, she only has 1 reroll, counting the, well, 1 roll, effectively. So she'll go ahead and roll a guaranteed hit, because if she's only going to roll 1, she wants to go ahead and move. So she rolls that, she gets a hit, beautiful. She did not get a crit, which is good. And you're like, Alex, getting crits is a good thing. What do you mean not getting a crit is good? Well, in 20-strong Nemesis, getting crits is noise. You'll be tracking noise over here on the style, which also tracks the 10 rounds you have. As you move up on noise, eventually you're going to spawn enemies. The enemies are going to pop out of the deck into whatever room the character's in when the noise threshold is triggered. So rolling crits is bad now, just to mentally wrap your head around that. We rolled a single hit over here. The good news is each die only has 1 crit available. So you're going to have that over there. We can move. We're going to move her dice. We'll pretend she's blue and she's green. She'll move down over, well, she'll move, oh, I should have moved. You know what? It is what it is. But if I was trying to get to these for that objective, we'll just go down over here, work our way there. We're going to look at the room secretly. We're not going to tell the other players. You'll see it. It's engine room A. We already found engine room A. Now we can activate it if either at least player number of generators are active. So if 2 generators are active, then we can activate. We can turn the room on, or by adding an enemy. Adding an enemy would not be great over here, so maybe we don't bother activating it. But I will show you how things work. Tactically speaking, maybe I wouldn't, but I'll show you how that works. We can go ahead and add an enemy to that room. So we're going to activate the engine room. Keeping in mind, if we don't activate it, we can tell the other players whatever we want as far as what the room was. Granted, we want to be mindful that we shouldn't lie about the category of room it is, because they'll know we're lying, but we could say whatever we want. We could say, hey, I'm not ready to reveal that information yet. I haven't seen how friendly you are. I could sit there and say, by the way, that was a terminal. It was a terminal over there. That was the mainframe terminal was on that card. I could say that. As long as it's not an obvious lie, great. Or I could just tell people it's the engine room, and I could do that whether or not I activate it. Well, if I activate it, they'll know what it is, so don't lie if you're then going to activate it. So, I'll put an enemy in play. We have a larva over here. They have 3 health. They're going to roll dice back at us, so unlike 20 strong generally, this game really breaks all the molds, you're going to have enemies rolling dice back at you instead of just dealing fixed amounts of damage. Enemies will also be following you around the board because this is a board, so enemies will attack, but they're also going to try to move around the board to capture you as well, and they have the usual abilities, but you can attack them. That's what we have. The next action is going to be attack, where you roll dice trying to commit those dice. Let's go ahead and roll these two, and we spend our second action to attack now. That's going to be 1-2. I could re-roll hoping for a crit, but you know what, honestly I don't need a crit right now. Let's go ahead and roll a green over here for, I'm being ahead of myself. She doesn't actually have rerolls. I was moving too fast. I wasn't thinking this through. Strictly speaking, what I should have done probably is taken these three, rolled them, and then gotten 3 hits on my first try. That's what I should have done. Again, I'm just teaching you the game here. And then assign those dice to that player. Exhausting those dice. They're gone now. We can get them back, but not the second. And this larvae is dead. If the larvae dies with 2 or more dice onto it, the enemy is banished. Which again, if you've played Nemesis, slowly but surely, the larvae in the deck are being weeded out, making the worst cards more likely to be run into. Other cards get shuffled back into the deck. So cards are constantly being shuffled back into the deck when they're defeated, except for those larvae. They are usually not being shuffled back in, making your likelihood of bad enemies worse. That's an attack action, that's a move action. Additionally, when I activate rooms, when you flip over a room, you're going to tuck cards underneath it based on the symbols on it. So armory type rooms will get armory cards, engine rooms will get engine cards, and you do it based on the number over there. That's one little wrench symbol. I don't know if you can see it, but it's one little wrench, so we only put 1 card underneath it. Which brings us to the salvage action. The salvage action has you committing and rolling all of your ready dice, which means you might be getting a lot of crits over there, which means a lot of noise. And then you go ahead and take the top item of the deck, and you get to refresh some dice from the exhausted pool, but again, and all those dice come back. The good news is the ready dice you just rolled, you get them all back. You don't have to spend them, so to speak, but you possibly are going to be generating a lot of noise when you salvage things. You're tinkering around, you drop a pipe as you try to get to that little, I don't know, flamethrower or whatever it is, and we go ahead and salvage. Our third action, let's say, might be a salvage right now, so we're going to take this card, and we have a duct tape, okay? You have +1, ooh, yay, awesome. We have +1 recall over here, which is great for her, better for the bounty hunter, but honestly, again, we're not sure if we're friends yet. You could trade though, which brings us to our next action. You can trade items with other characters in your room if I wanted to do that. I don't feel the need to do that. Also, I believe her ability, did she have that ability? I'm trying to find the end of the game. The antidote is in your inventory. No, she doesn't have that. Some players want different things that they can do. She doesn't care about having items in her inventory outside of the antidote itself, which is this, which you have to get from a particular room. Anyways, that's kind of the arc. The last idea is you have different actions on the various rooms themselves, but you basically are going to take 4 actions to move around the ship, to attack, to salvage, to trade, and to activate the rooms themselves, all while you try to figure out the lay of the land, so to speak. The lay of the land being the rooms you need to accomplish your objectives, and then safely escape, because keeping in mind, if you're defeated, you lose a point over here. So you want to be mindful of not being defeated as you accomplish your objectives. The countdown timer is slowly going to tick down every single round, not every player's turn, but every full round of the game. When it hits the difficulty number plus number of players, so if we're playing on difficulty 1, for example, that would be 2 players plus 1 difficulty. So on round 3, we would flip this over, and now we're into self-destruct mode, where enemies are going to be activating a little faster, based on noise level 4 instead of noise level 5. So enemies are coming to play a little bit faster, and eventually the ship goes boom if you are still on it. That is 20 strong Nemesis. The interesting part about this 20 strong compared to any other 20 strong game I've ever shown on this channel is this is probably more familiar to a Nemesis player than it is to a 20 strong player. It has the bones of 20 strong, but it has the entire structure and framework of Nemesis distilled into a faster game that plays in, if you're playing it solo, it's like still 30 to 40 minutes. Playing a full-length game with 2 to 3 players is going to be in that 45 to 60 minutes, but it gives you a shorter Nemesis game in a cheaper Nemesis package at a smaller Nemesis box size without a lot of the other things. You don't get a board full of miniatures, you don't get a entire big box production. You are losing a lot of the Nemesis soul, but you're given a game that gives you the essence of Nemesis. Which brings you to my review. And it's worth noting before I dive into this that I am not the hugest fan of Nemesis. I have had Nemesis is in fact, let me give you my notes on 20 Strong and my notes on Nemesis before diving into 20 Strong Nemesis. Nemesis is a game I've had some incredible stories of, incredible plays. I understand why it's a well-loved game, but I've also had less consistently good plays, and so over time, Nemesis was a game that I started off loving. The first play I ever had of Nemesis was one of the best game experiences I've ever had, but the more I played it, the more I had mixed experiences, and eventually it left my collection because it can be so much fun, it can be so thematic, it can be so tense, watching enemies charge towards you, trying to figure out how to take them out. it can be an incredible game, but it was a hit and miss experience for me, so I got rid of it. 20 Strong as a system, I very much enjoy, although I definitely enjoy different 20 Strongs more than other 20 Strongs, which I guess makes sense. And whenever you have a category of things, you'll like some things more than others. And so 20 Strongs for me, like some of the best ones I think for me are the Tanglewoods. I definitely enjoy those a lot. I like Hopmocks a lot. Honestly, I'm a sucker for the classic Solo Sentinels. Ironically, Too Many Bones as a game I love. That's a little bit lower for me in terms of those 20 Strongs. Cloudspire is pretty solid. Still haven't played that one a ton yet, so I don't think I've done a review of it. I've only played it twice so far, so I need more plays of that one. And then I've played all of the Awakened Realms 20 Strongs. From the Awakened Realms 20 Strongs, I'll leave you to watch the other reviews if you want to see my opinions on those. Again, there's definitely an arc of where they are. But I guess the part I'll spoil for you now is Nemesis is kind of in the middle for me. Nemesis, overall, which brings us to a review of 20 Strong Nemesis. This does a lot of things well. I like this. I think I like it more solo. I have more control. I've played this both solo and multiplayer. I definitely enjoy it more solo because I have that sense of control. And there's some interesting aspects. Like one of the things that's different is this shared dice pool, because you kind of want to keep everyone alive. You have that semi-cooperative aspect where keeping dice in the pool is good for everyone because you all need the dice to survive. But also, it is that weird thing where one player could just be a little jealous with the dice and tank the pool. It goes back to that semi-co-op problem. If I just care about my own objectives, and I'm willing to spend more dice while everyone else is trying to keep the dice if every other player at the table is trying to keep the dice pool refreshed, and I don't care at all, I'm just trying to do my own objectives, it does have that semi-co-op problem when it comes to the dice pool. Now, granted, fortunately the players I've played this with are not jerks, so we all kind of have contributed to keeping the dice pool alive, but that's one of those areas. Semi-cooperative as a concept in games has always potentially been a problem, because all you need is one person who's not willing to play by the informal rules of being a gentleman, so to speak, and then suddenly the game can be tanked a little bit. And I do believe that can happen with this. I have not seen it happen practically speaking. Again, I want to be clear here. I have not experienced the semi-cooperative problem, but I can certainly see it in play. If I am willing to spend as many dice as I can, because players do have a limit, which is different than normal 20 Strong, and it's there because of this issue. You can only spend dice up to your max health or whatnot when you're taking the actions, the attack, the move. But if all I care about is accomplishing my goals, and I let you guys manage the survivability of the dice pool, I will win. And if we all go all out, we're all going to lose. So while I haven't had it happen, it is present in this game, and that always, I don't love that. I don't love that aspect where, in theory, when I play this game multiplayer, I am playing to be a gentleman and I'm not playing to win, even though it is a game where someone does win. I don't like the informal rule structure being posed on the table, as opposed to just the, hey, we're playing a game, I'm going to try to win aspect that semi-co-op adds. So I spent a little time with that. If you know the problem with semi-co-op, it is theoretically here. I just don't play with jerks, but it still makes me feel a little handicapped by my own gentlemanness. Is that a word? Gentlemanness? Gentle vibes? I don't know, whatever you want to say. That's number one. Past that, the overall tenseness of the game, that's definitely carried through. And the moving around the board as far as trying to take your actions to find the right rooms, to activate them. The decision space around, okay, great, I just found out that the engine room is over there, one of the engine rooms. Do I tell you? Do I not? Like, that little trust but not trust is definitely present as you play. I mean, when you're playing a multiplayer, when you're playing a solo, you don't have that aspect. So it does carry the general vibes of Nemesis. The other areas is the enemies I do find to be a little like a lot of the enemies you pop up and deal with are you're going to be spending your dice to try to take out. As the enemies grow, you do want to play that weird game of kind of running away from them. They do escape damage, so they'll be rolling dice to attack you on the way out, but you do try to want to run away from the large enemies if you're trying to keep your escape pool alive, and also you have a few enemies suddenly charting around the board, moving 2 spaces every round to whatever threats in their play. So it does have that tension of Nemesis where you can't kill everything. The larvae you're going to kill pretty easily because it often doesn't take a lot to kill them, but you are going to be slowly moving the larvae from the board, and again, you're managing your dice pool. The items are always a lot of fun in regular Nemesis and in 20 Strong, and in 20 Strong Nemesis. Getting the items is a lot of fun, and in general, trying to chart your pathway through the objectives you're going to carry out, that also is a lot of tension as far as looking at your cards, and you're working towards both simultaneously. Anything that accomplishes either card helps you out, but slowly but surely you're going to have to pick a lane. As things start to get done, you're going to start picking a strategy, and then once we flip to the other side of this, you have to pick a strategy, going with one particular card and see how many points you can get out of it. This is a game, in my opinion, that benefits from handing all the cards out to all the players before the game begins and having them read through it. Or I guess the way I'd really recommend it is play an intro game where you're just trying to get off the ship so you can understand the ecosystem, so you can see the rooms, you can see which things feed off each other. Again, if you are a Nemesis player, you'll know a lot of these things already. If you're a 20 strong player, you won't. You won't know the codependencies between the rooms because why should you? So playing that intro game, it just gives you that knowledge that you'll develop. Then from there, give everyone all the objective cards. There's not a ton to go through. Have them read them all just at a glance so they understand the kind of vibes that are going on. Because if I see objectives, I might know, okay, you might be doing that. You might be doing this. If I have no idea what you might be doing, it's a little harder to predict the actions and you lose a little bit of the tension. That goes all to the cooperative mode. The solo mode does lose some of that tension, but again, it removes the semi-co-op aspect and I feel a bit more in control. And personally, when I play 20 Strong, it kind of fits more where I'd play a game like this. 20 Strong is a quick, easy setup table game. If you want the Nemesis experience, I'd say just play Nemesis. Now, I will grant I'm saying that with the caveat that not all people want to pay for Nemesis or have it on the shelves, so there is a different conversation at play. But if you have 20 Strong, and if you have Nemesis, and if you're looking for that tense experience, I think you'll get a better game experience out of pure regular Nemesis, with the caveat around shelf space and affordability, and those are important considerations. But if you're here for 20 Strong as a solo experience, I think this does give you a different type of 20 Strong feeling. A little less direct confrontation with the enemies, a lot more maneuverability as you try to accomplish your goals. Again, and I definitely recommend the goals playing solo, because just trying to escape the spaceship playing solo is just not that interesting. Having different goal cards you're working your way towards and exploring the ship every time while managing your dice pool does give a nice little challenge. Overall, final thoughts on this one. I'm going to be coming in at a 3.5 out of 5. This one is still not my favorite 20 Strong. I tend to prefer 20 Strong as a series when it is a bit more, I don't know, direct damage. This one is a lot more maneuverability and navigation. Now, I will grant there are many things that make this, it's very different. It's built on the bones of 20 Strong. It's built on the bones of Nemesis, and it does give you a pretty good experience that consolidates both of those. For myself, if I want a Nemesis experience, I'll probably play Nemesis. And if I want a 20 Strong experience, this isn't where my mind goes as quickly. I'd rather play some of the other 20 Strong games. So 3.5 out of 5. It does a lot of things well. And again, keep in mind, I'm coming into this not necessarily as a huge Nemesis fan. It's one of those things. Interesting. If you watch the Chip Theory games How to Play on this, which I certainly did, Andrew is fantastic at his How to Plays, very quirky, very charming. If you look at the comments on that, I walked away from my How to Play being like, oh, this is more Nemesis than 20 Strong. I'm already a little less excited. But if you look at the comments in the video, there's a lot of people who are huge Nemesis fans that are very excited based on what they saw. So I do think where you are as a player does matter as far as the framework you're coming into this. Anyways, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you found this review helpful. Make sure to check out my other 20 Strong reviews today. And as always, and until next time, I hope you have a good one.